Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order at 7:01. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First up is points of pride. Superintendent.
So we had a great last couple of days of school, which ended with a wonderful celebration with the staff to recognize milestones of service, to honor our retirees, and the board was represented well by Mr. Thurbridge, who gave a rousing speech and got a standing ovation. So as school ends, we are off in our different directions, and teachers were really, really grateful for those 2 days. So that's all.
Thank you, Superintendent. There is no student representative here tonight. Next up is our first period of public comment. There is no member from the public that is here this evening, so there will be no period of public comment unless one of the board members needs to step down from their board position to address the board as a member of the public, which doesn't appear to need to happen tonight. Therefore, we are on to the consent agenda. You have a couple of items in your consent agenda. The first is the acceptance of the school board meeting minutes from June 7th, 2022. The next is personnel, which was in your online folder and has been updated, which you have. There are 3 resignations. Valerie Moran, science teacher, CVHS. Cooper Valinsky, PE and wellness teacher with the elementary schools. Kathleen Gothia from TES, a grade 4 teacher. There are 3 nominations tonight. The first is CVHS. This is Abigail Koenig, an English teacher. PES, Jill Gourlay, school nurse. And the elementary schools, Jacqueline Nielsen, music teacher. That's it for those 2 items, and then we'll do the enrollment update as well. Are there any objections or questions with regard to the minutes or the personnel items? Hearing none, seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Your June enrollment numbers were also in your agenda packet. Any questions with any of those? All right. Moving right along. Next up is the superintendent's report and presentation of business. The first are our monthly event calendars.
So in your packet is remind the board that you do have a strategic plan committee meeting. I believe the entire board was invited to that so that you could review the draft. I know some of you have already done that. If you feel like you're searching for the draft, let us know so that we can share it with you. So with that said, the week of the 27th, there are no meetings. And our next meeting will be the school board policy committee, followed by the school board on the 19th of July. And then in August, we have policy and school board on the 9th and the 23rd. However, usually in August, we pick back up with committee meetings. So we need to know if that is the intent of each committee. So if each committee chair could please email Brenda so we can get those plugged in, that will be great. And that's the monthly events calendar. School board requests. At this point, the only outstanding request that I am aware of is the request related to the website, and we are going to, Alan, talk about that tonight. So, are there any other requests that are outstanding?
What about the request for the school safety note?
I'm sorry. Are you talking about the communication?
The generic statement.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of thought we were going to work on that at communications. So I didn't know what other next steps to take. So I'm happy to to take that on over the next couple weeks. If that's what, if that's what the I wasn't sure if it was coming from me or from the communications committee.
No, as our conversations, it was coming from you folks.
Okay,
Not from the communication.
okay,
So if you could work on that, that would be fine. I appreciate it.
okay, sounds great, thank you. And so I just want to, because that's a single, is that what the rest of the board wants me to do? I just want to be really clear because, okay, great. All right, thank you so much. And that is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Superintendent. Reports. There's no teacher representative here tonight. Krista, do you have an update for policy?
No, I just sent out an email just to kind of get a feel as to what would be a good day in July for everyone to want to do the policy day. So be on the lookout for that. And then I'll work with Kimberly and Brenda to come up with a day that works for everyone.
Thank you very much. Education.
Yep.
Tom?
We met last week, as far as I can remember, and we covered 3 items. One was the first 8 weeks of school, which is a elementary social emotional learning curriculum, which I believe has been introduced in the past, right before the pandemic hit, so that it didn't get entrenched, but it has been. It's already in place and is being used. We had a 4th grade teacher from Dublin or Hancock, thank you, who talked about it glowingly, and it seems to be in full effect in Hancock already. So we originally were going to have it to be presented tonight, but Ann emailed us and said there was some licensing issues because they hadn't purchased the agreement yet. So they're going to work on it over the summer and then bring it back to us for review. But I believe the ball's already in motion on that. So I don't know that they're going to start implementing it and training the teachers about it already. But it seems like it's a program that's already been in place and it's already been approved in the past. So that's one item. Enrollment for the summer school. We have 37 students as of our meeting for the elementary school at Peterborough, 17 in 1st and 2nd grade, 20 for 3rd and 4th grade. On the 5th and 6th.
Want to know what the Red Sox. Sorry.
The 5th and 6th grades, we have 17 students enrolled, 7th and 8th grade, 16 students. Antrim has 18 students, and so that their lower numbers may be because the Peterborough school is the Title I school, so some of the Antrim students might be heading over there. I don't have high school numbers written down here, so I don't know if they didn't have them or if I just failed to write. Yeah, so I one of those two if I didn't have it. And then the last item we had was about the offerings for courses for the high school that was presented to us, and there was some discussion about trying to maintain lower numbers in the foundational courses that everyone has to take, and the trade-off might be to accept higher numbers in some of the AP courses if necessary. Ideally, we would like low numbers all around, but we felt that we encouraged that the numbers be for the courses that are fundamental and dealing with students of all levels be prioritized over the AP courses, where we would assume the students would be more highly motivated and it would be more manageable even with a higher number of students. I believe that was all that was covered.
Thank you, Tom. Jim, anything for budget and property?
Yes,
Sorry, hold
actually,
on
we
one
had a
second,
good
Jim.
discussion about the,
Jim, hold
can
on.
you hear me?
Yeah, hold on 1 minute.
Can I answer you after?
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
So we had a good discussion at the budget and property meeting a week or so ago, and the primary topic was of interest was the budget guidance, which is due to Kimberly in August. And I think the approach we're going to probably be taking this year, again, this isn't final, this is just our initial thought, is that we're going to assume there's no program changes or adds. And the second thing is the biggest question mark in the budget, everybody knows what's going to happen to inflation. How long is it going to stay high? Is it going to go down? Is it going to go up? So the approach we want to take is we know that some costs are going to be relatively easier to estimate the increases. For instance, the CVEA, that'll be the second year of the contract. So that's a relatively set cost. So if we take that approach for each of the major components of the budget and come up with either what the contract says it's going to be or a different estimate, we can kind of come up with by subtraction, come up with the remaining balance that we need to kind of guess. So I don't know if I said that the good way, but the basic approach is to segment the budget into known or estimated cost changes and go from there. So in order to do that, we're going to be probably requesting those ranges of numbers for November discussion. We have the budget.
Yes.
Kimberly, this year we'll do
Yep.
it in November, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So we have a lot of time. We have a lot of time between now and August to talk about that. But that's the basic approach I think we're probably going to need to take because of the huge unknown of what's going to happen to escalation.
Thank you, Jim. Strategic Plan Committee, that's me. So we met and reviewed what is known as the drafty draft. It's a great work done by the administration, so thank you very much for getting us to where we are at that point. It was really well received. If you haven't looked at that yet, please do. The entire board is invited to Thursday's workshop. That is at 5:30. Please come prepared to discuss what you liked, didn't like in that draft document. If you can't attend, please try to get Kimberly and myself an email with your comments about the document so that we can keep moving forward with trying to get that into a less drafty draft that we can then share with the board again and with the public and start to get some direct feedback on that. So if you haven't looked at that, please do. Communications Committee, Janine or Alan? Oh, wait, hold on, Superintendent?
Can I just add, and thank you for the recognition, but I also want to make sure a shout out goes to the significant work that was put in the community-based committees. Because there was a lot of input into what we did and was then take it and really look at all of the themes across all of these groups and make sure that their work was honored. So you guys will need to decide what stays, what goes, and work hopefully with us to prioritize those things.
Thank you. Yes.
There's no report for the communication committee because we did not meet. That meeting was canceled.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I did know that. Thank you. I forgot. Okay, on to old business. Included in your packet was a legislative update. I had, with all of the time I've spent focus on federal legislation, I tend to forget that the state has both a pocket veto and a pocket approval process. So there were some bills that I hadn't seen a governor's statement on him either signing or vetoing, only to then be reminded that in New Hampshire, depending on what point you are in the legislative calendar, inaction by the governor is either a veto or an approval. With that, here's there were two that were enrolled without signature. So these two were passed both of the houses, and because he did not veto them within 5 days, both became law. We are in good position on both of these, so it's really no issue. The first is relative to SB 410, that's public comment period at school board meetings, which we already have. The requirement is that you have them, The law require or allows the board to set reasonable limits on individual speakers, which we also already have. The weird thing in the language is that it says the public comment period shall be for no less than 30 minutes. I'm going to go out on a broad base and interpret that if no one shows up, you don't have to sit there for 30 minutes hoping or expecting that someone may. Thankfully, we do have 2 periods of public comment, and so anyone that was late would be able to still make that public comment at the end. The second is HB 1381. This is student members of school boards. We also have that, but this is from may to shall. So boards that don't have a high school representative on that, on their body will need to work with the high school to do so. The key on this is we will need to work with the student council or the principal to make sure that the term of office is such that it expires before graduation. Because the language in the statute says that the term can't expire before they graduate. So if you had a senior that was the student rep, but the term of office was defined until June 1st, and in that given year graduation was in May, they actually aren't eligible for that. So we'll want to make sure that that ends early enough in the year to allow for that to not happen. But other than that, we obviously already have student representatives, so we're all set with that. Water bottle filling stations in schools. It says any new construction or quote substantial renovations need to make sure that there are water bottle filling stations. SB 352, which has to do to criminal history records checks for substitute teachers. HB 1244, this is parental consent and medical for medical and dental treatment of children in schools. The next is 1263, HB 1263. This is prescribed studies, so this is the required education on health, physical education, wellness, and personal finance literacy in schools. So you can take a look at that summary for what we need to make sure is covered in that. The third bullet on that one, I think, is the new part. It says the school board shall ensure that personal finance literacy instruction designed to prepare students for success in making financial decisions is taught as part of the curriculum. Personal finance literacy skills may be embedded in an existing course or a grade level program of studies. So that's that one. There is HB 1367, which is an act relative to civics instruction. However, it's not just civics. Civics is different than memorizing the answers to a test, which is arguably what this is. And that is that students must obtain a grade of 70% or better on the 128 question civics, history and government naturalization examination developed by the 2020 United States Citizen and Immigration Services. There are accommodations for IEPs. HB 1035, an act relative to exemptions from school vaccine mandates. There is no longer a notarized requirement for the religious exemption. Previously, that one had to be notarized. It no longer does. HB 1202 has to do with transportation of pupils to school activities by a contract carrier. I only sort of understand the change to that one. I read it 6 times. My version of it is that it removes the 150-mile round trip minimum that's related to the use of contract carriers for special ed transportation. Okay. HB 1234, which is relative to criminal background checks for an applicant for teaching credentials, and HB 1074, which is relative to a notice to a chartered public school of a special ed services meeting, meaning that the district is required to notify the charter school of IEP meetings. So that is your legislative update. That was as 6:15. There may have been more since, but I didn't get to them. Superintendent.
I just want to point out there are 4 unfunded mandates on top of what has already been unfunded. So just to keep you aware of where we stand on the number of unfunded mandates coming from the legislature, and while we continue to work our way through the lawsuit.
So I'll continue to update you when the legislative calendar officially ends, I believe on June 30. That's when the pocket veto kicks in, which is anything that is still there that he hasn't signed gets a veto if he doesn't sign it within 5 days versus right now it still gets enacted. So the legislature sometimes times what gets delivered based on their knowledge of how that will play out. So there are still some stuff to come on that. We'll keep you posted. All right, next. There are 3 policies that are up for a second read tonight. They were in your packet. The first is policy BIE, Board Member Indemnification.
I move that we approve policy BIE, board member indemnification as written.
Second.
Moved by Janine, second by Kira. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Policy BIE, Board Member Indemnification, is adopted. The next is policy EHB, Data Records Retention.
I move that we adopt policy EHB, data records retention as written.
Second.
Moved by Janine, second by Kira. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Policy EHB is adopted. Last is policy JLCG, exclusion of students who present a hazard.
I move that we adopt policy JLCG, exclusion of students who present a hazard as written.
Second.
Moved by Janine, second by Kira. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained. Policy JLCG is adopted. On to new business. You have a first read policy that is EBCF, Pandemic/Epidemic Emergencies. Please review that and get any of your comments to the policy committee. Next up is the fund balance projection update. Lori.
Okay, so the only update I have for you today is a request for additional encumbrances. This was handed out last minute and added to the file. So the first request I have is for $100,000 for Allen and Mathewson Energy. As we know, fuel prices have escalated rapidly, and that happened this year. So we usually use up all of the budgeted monies to put fuel into the tank going into the new year so condensation doesn't form in the tanks and it doesn't ruin the tanks. And we're not able to do that right now because we have spent all of our money. So we're asking if we can have an encumbrance of $100,000 so we can put additional fuel into the tanks over the next month. Right. The next,
We should probably do them
Okay.
individually since they're each.
No, you definitely should, because they're new and they're not part of the expense and encumbrance report. I would-
Agreed. We can do those one at a time.
I move we encumber the $100,000 for Allen and Mathewson Energy for fuel.
Moved by Dick, second by Kevin. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Jim, were you opposing?
No, that was an aye. I heard one aye.
so the next item on the list, Kimberly alluded to earlier, we've been looking into options for website revamp. And yeah, Mark is going to make a presentation or,
Do a presentation on.
okay,
But we would like to encumber
$14,000.
$14,000 based on whomever you select.
So I was asked to look into companies to help us redesign the website. I looked into 4 different companies. The first is First Tracks, who did the redesign for our current website. That took place 2016. I think we launched 2017, so we're about 5 years in. The second was John Guilfoyle Public Relations, who currently manages our Conval news site and helps us create some content. The other two were sites that were commonly used by other districts that we found in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and in other K-12 districts. One was School Blocks, and another was Blackboard. And so, of the 4 ones that we looked at, the John Guilfoyle and First Tracks would both basically use the existing WordPress platform that we're currently on, and just kind of give us a refresh, make it look a little bit different. All the back-end stuff would stay the same. School Blocks and Blackboard both have their own hosting platforms. All proposals would involve the company taking our existing website, converting all the content over if it's moving into the new platform, and then applying whatever templates and look to it. The one we're recommending, Healthfreed and I met with each of the vendors and talked about, the services they offer, what the websites were capable of. We're recommending the School Blocks solution. So they sent us a couple different example websites that they've worked with K-12 districts. This one's from Concord, New Hampshire. And you can see very similar features that we currently have. We've got top nav that's customizable, pictures. One of the nice things about the School Blocks is that everything's very drag and drop. So, whatever you see on the homepage, it's very easily to customize, move around, change around as needed. I'm not going to kind of go through everything in terms of looking at the site, but just wanted to kind of give you a feel of like what other school districts look like as they've set this up. One of the biggest selling points about School Blocks was that they're fully Google integrated. That is really big for us in that right now when we add staff to the website, we've already gone and created their Google accounts, but we still got to go and create an entry for them on the web page. If we want to have them be able to go in and edit the web page, we have to then go and give their web page permissions account. So they're juggling these multiple accounts to try to get access. This takes care of all that for us. So when you see the staff listing here on one of the School Block sites, did I click it? There we go. That's actually pulling right from their Google directory. So there's no manual updating, and you can tell it which fields to pull from. As you dig down into the schools, it'll show just the staff from those schools. Similarly with the calendars, all of that, they've got their own calendar system in here, but it's all tied right into the Google calendars as well. So this one here is showing the district events calendar, but if I jump over to Concord, I think they had a better, let's see here, our district, here it is. One of the things our website doesn't do right now is a full district calendar where you can see events from all the different sites. This pulls them all in so you can see everything, or you can jump to the top and just click on like school board, for instance, and you're just going to see the school board events. What's nice is since it's got the full Google integration, it can two-way sync. So we can set up like a Google calendar for school board, and anybody who has access to edit that calendar, it'll go right up onto the website automatically.
So that stops having to look at multiple, you can select them all and see everything that's going on, or just select one for yours. So a little more seamless than what we have right now.
Yep.
Not what we have in school.
Similarly, they've got integrations with Google Drive and Google Classroom. So I feel like, with the amount that we're using the Google Suite, this would really allow us to kind of leverage that directly into the website. Another thing that we really asked about was ADA compliance. That's become more important now than it was when we did the last website refresh. Districts that it's really any federal entity, but down to the district and in state level, complaints can be filed against the district if the site isn't accessible. And there's lots of things that are included in that. It has to be screen reader friendly. It has to make sure that any images you're posting have alt text. So if somebody can't see the image but are having the screen reader, they know what the image is showing. Their contrast levels of making sure that the colors together are readable. And so there's a huge number of requirements, and I would say out of the people that we talked about, all of them said, yes, we can help you be ADA compliant. School Blocks in Blackboard in particular, I think, had a really good handle on this. And when we were talking to School Blocks, they've actually worked with multiple districts who came to them in an active ADA compliance case and got them to be compliant by rolling out a School Blocks website. So I feel, going with this vendor, we would make sure that we're meeting the ADA compliance that we set out with. And finally, the other thing that I really liked about the School Blocks proposal is that, they include unlimited implementation guidance and support. So it's got a bit of a higher annual cost than some of the other solutions, not all of them. Blackboard was very much higher than all of the others. But they will continuously work with you. You can always get them on support. They have live chat on the website. If we wanted to implement a new part of the website, we wouldn't have to renegotiate, how much would it cost if we wanted to do this? They'll just help you do it. When we've worked with First Tracks in the past, they're certainly willing to help us out, but it's always okay, this is how long it's going to take and how much it's going to be per hour. So when you compare the costs there, what I listed is the one-time initial implementation cost plus an annual cost. If you break that out down to 5 years, which is how long we've currently got our current website, the School Blocks isn't the cheapest, but it's the second cheapest of the solutions. So I feel like it's a really good balance of total cost of ownership to the features and the look of what we're getting out of it.
And that was in, I know you don't have a full out, that information is in the school full out. It became exceedingly obvious why Blackboard is used solely by, or mostly by universities. Because it's expensive annually. If not, if you're a university.
I move that we move ahead with School Blocks as presented.
I'm asking for an encumbrance for 14,000 for
Correct.
the first year.
Moved by Dick Dunning to approve the School Blocks for the website redesign with an encumbrance of $14,000, seconded by Dr. Kriebel. Discussion. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry, Jim, you should be back in. So the
I'm
motion,
back. Thank you.
the motion is by Dick Dunning is to approve a $14,000 encumbrance for School Blocks to go ahead with the website redesign, and a second by Dr. Kriebel.
And is that a first year cost?
That's the first year, and then the ongoing after that. Additional questions? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Okay, thank you, Jim. Next,
Okay, so again, in light of the inflation for utilities, we're already looking to see what ways we can save utility usage for next year. So we have a recommendation from Mr. Grassi that we install the light sensor switches at the high school and the middle schools. We have not costed out the savings completely yet. We know that the cost would be at about $15,000, and that would be to the electrical supply. He did say that if we're moving forward with renovations, these can be reused, so they wouldn't be a waste of money. They would be repurposed during renovations.
I move we encumber the electrical supplies as quoted.
moved by Dick, second by Greg, so that's an encumbrance of $14,848.
Oof, I can remember many nights driving by and stopping, coming in and turning lights off.
Okay, and then the,
Any additional discussion on that item or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay,
okay. And then our last encumbrance request is for Wadley, Star and Peters for $250,000 for a retainer for services.
I move we encumber the $250,000 for legal advice.
moved by Dick,
Second.
second by Kevin. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? That's encumbrances in the total amount of $378,848. Thank you, Lori.
Okay. So, do you want me to move on to the next? Okay.
Yep.
So in the board, Google Drive, there were two encumbrance and expense and encumbrance reports. One is for the May activity, and then the other is our current projection through June of 2022. The items that were just voted on would be in addition to what you see on this projected sheet.
Could we have an explanation of why these encumbrances are necessary?
Okay, so you're looking at the May?
Yeah.
So we still have a month to get through, so we still have salaries of 1.8 million that's encumbered, in the employee benefits, so we still have activity that we have to go through for the year. So this is the same report, just it's updated each month when I present it.
Okay.
And then each of the codes at the bottom explain the outliers, yeah,
Yeah.
for that part. Yep.
Does that answer? the
Yeah,
question?
thank you.
Okay.
Is there a motion to accept the expense report and all encumbrances therein?
I move as presented, the encumbrance reports as presented by the business administrator.
Moved by Dick, second by Greg. Additional questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Are you opposing? Or was that an aye? I think I was a delayed aye, sorry. I have to wait for the tape delay. Abstained.
I said aye too. I said aye too, but I was on mute. I
Thank
said
you.
it.
The expenditures and encumbrances are approved. The next item on the agenda is to review and or endorse the resolutions. They actually moved back the due date on those. So we don't have those for you tonight. They're not due until July 15th, which is ahead of our meeting on the 19th. So you will have those to review at our board meeting on July 19th or whatever that date is. Is that right? Where we will give a thumbs up or thumbs down to advise Catherine to represent us at the assembly in October. What, is there a question? What did I get wrong? Right. So they'll send, yeah, so they'll send us all of so we sent the one that you all approved for me to send in. I already sent in because the deadline was originally June something. They've now moved that deadline for boards to submit resolutions until July 15th. We will then get all of those to us in time for you all for us to decide whether that stays, whether we support or not through Catherine at the assembly. Sorry. I was like, sorry. So I thought we were gonna have them by now, but then the NHSBA moved their deadline. Nope, no, you got it right. Okay, so the next two items are resolutions that require board action. So I will read them. These have to do with Primax. The first is Property and Liability Contribution Assurance Program, and the second is Workers' Compensation Contribution Assurance Program. Both of these require your vote to be authorized for signature. I will read the first one. This is a resolution to enter the Primex Property and Liability Contribution Assurance Program. Resolved to hereby accept the offer of the New Hampshire Public Risk Management Exchange, Primex, to enter into its Property and Liability Contribution Assurance Program as of the date of the adoption of this resolution, and to be contractually bound by all of the terms and conditions of Primex Risk Management Pool membership during the term of the Property and Liability Contribution Assurance Program. The coverage provided by Primex in each year of membership shall be as then set forth in the coverage documents of Primex. So that would be the motion. And then on the opposite side of the document, and this is in the Google Drive, or for those of you remotely, explains the agreement extending our membership in the assurance program, and then it provides the information on when those cap periods are for. July 1st, 2023 through 2024. For fiscal year 25, which is July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. And lastly, for fiscal year 2026, July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026. Those each have a maximum 7% increase over that period. That's the purpose of entering into this agreement now, is to set that percentage maximum. Did I present that as accurately as I needed to?
It was absolutely perfect.
And right now in this escalating cost, anyone who's willing to set a cap for us is good.
So do we need a motion?
To accept as presented.
I move that we accept this as presented.
Second.
Moved by Kira, second by Dick. Additional questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? All right, I will sign that one. I think it's me, at the end of the meeting. The next, also to deal with Primex, this is the Workers' Compensation Contribution Assurance Program. I'll do it backwards this time. It's for the same 3 fiscal years, FY24, FY25, FY26, which would bring us all the way out to June 30, 2026. This one is providing a maximum 8% increase over those periods. Now, the resolution reads as follows. Resolution to enter Primex Workers' Compensation Contribution Assurance Program, CAP. Resolved to hereby accept the offer of the New Hampshire Public Risk Management Exchange, Primex, to enter into its Workers' Compensation Contribution Assurance Program as of the date of the adoption of this resolution, and to be contractually bound by all of the terms and conditions of Primex Risk Management Pool membership during the term of the Workers' Compensation Contribution Assurance Program. The coverage provided by Primex in each year of membership shall be as then set forth in the coverage documents of Primex.
I move that we adopt the resolution as presented.
Second.
Moved by Kira, second by Dick. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Abstained. The motion is adopted. I am readmitting Alan. Sorry, Alan, you should be back in now. Please record Alan as a abstention on the last 2 since he wasn't here. He was off. Okay. I got those down. Next, back to my other document. The next is a contract that is also in your folder. That was in the shared drive. What? Oh, I thought this one, is that different? Is that for non-public? Do we need to do it in? So this is just a straight recommendation that we, okay, fine, sorry, thank you. So In your packet, it is in your purple folders. It was also in the Google Drive. This is a contract with Trebron Security LLC between them and the Conval for the Sophos security suite. Mark?
Yep, this is our antivirus software. It protects all of our servers and district Windows devices. We purchased this through Trebron, who allows us to break up the payments into three, like a 3-year payment plan, so that it keeps the budget level from year to year rather than doing one larger payment every 3 years. The price is actually negotiated by NIST, which is a state level technology consortium. So this is sort of state negotiated pricing that we're able to take advantage of. We've been using Sophos for a number of years now, so this is just renewing this 3-year cycle.
So go ahead, Janine.
So why did we choose option 3?
Um,
I'm just curious.
They added, so the other options are additional security features that they offer. So the more the higher levels of protection, they charge more. We might eventually want to look at going up to the higher ones. They can offer things like proactive screening, so they'll actually have people monitoring our log files and taking action on our behalf if they see some threat happening. It's considerably more expensive than what we're currently paying. So at this time, we don't see a need to jump up to that level, but it's an option should we determine that we want to in the future.
So the contract as presented is a total cost of $17,914. Is that right? But that's over 3 years?
Over 3 years.
Which is what down here is that.
Yep, the 5,971.60.
Are there schools that I'm familiar with businesses being held hostage, sell back to? Are there schools that have lost their data that way?
Yes, in New Hampshire.
I would entertain a motion to approve the contract with Trebron Security LLC as presented. Moved by Kevin,
Second?
second by Dick Dunning. Additional questions or discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The contract is approved. With that, we have reached the next period of public comment. As there is still no member of the public here this evening, I would presume there is no member of the board that needs to address us as a member of the public. There is not. With that, we are on to approval of manifests. Lori?
All right, I certify that manifests totaling $3,044,230.14 have been reviewed by me and found to be proper charges against Kentucket Valley School District for goods and/or services received and have been properly processed prior to their submittal to the school board.
I move we approve the manifest as presented.
Moved by Dick, second by Kira. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstained? The manifests are as presented are approved. We do have non-public this evening. I would entertain a motion to enter non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2, student, legal, and personnel.
So moved.
Moved by Dick. Second by Greg. Tim?
Janine.
Jim? Krista? Alan? And are the three of you alone?
Yeah.
Thank you.